Chardelle Moore, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, this was in the works for many years.
Many years,
since
divine
2019, when I first met you.
Yes.
You had just left your job in TV doing this job right here.
Yeah.
Then we did get to, hang out together a couple of weeks ago at this Experience Africa event.
Yes.
So you have your journey has been amazing.
Yeah.
Just hearing a little bit about it. So I felt like our audience needs to meet Chardelle Moore.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now
Woo!
let's start off by the dress you had on. First of all, where are you from?
Okay.
And let's talk about that dress.
Okay.
What duet?
Yes. So I'm originally from Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean. I came here when I was a toddler, but my parents really installed that Caribbean upbringing. And it's very interesting because being a Caribbean American, you are intersected with so many different types of cultures. You have the African culture, you have the Kalinago Indian culture, you have the African American culture. And I feel like just being able to be in all these different types of demographics have really shaped me to become the woman that I am today. And I was wearing the traditional outfit, the Wub Duet.
The Wub Duet.
Yes, that was passed on by my mother, Queen Maji. Shout out to my mom. And I've always just been a serial creative. I love creativity. I'm a former television anchor, but you know what? I like to say I'm a television personality still.
Yes, you are. I see you on TV
I'm always
a lot,
doing TV stuff.
Yes.
I'm an award-winning motivational speaker. I'm a poet. I'm an artist. 4 years ago, I quit my job as a TV anchor at the Fox affiliate in Baltimore to launch my own company called Motivational Moore. We're a multimedia communications company elevating human consciousness. So we produce inspirational content on multiple platforms, leveraging my love for creativity and personal development and all things empowerment. So it's been a journey.
How has the journey been so far?
Okay, so entrepreneurship, I'm gonna keep it a buck, okay?
Keep it 100.
Keep it 1,000. So entrepreneurship, the biggest thing that it does, it teaches you about yourself. It teaches you your strengths. It teaches you your weaknesses. But bigger than being an entrepreneur, you go within yourself and you're like, who am I going to become? What are the thoughts, the ideas, the creativity that I want to bring into this physical world? So I am learning every day. I'm growing every day. I'm making mistakes, but it's all part of the journey. Owning my own creative properties is so important at this point in my life, and I'm just surrendering to the process because entrepreneurship is a process, but it's something beyond words. It's something so fulfilling, and it's like once you take that leap of faith, you have to be willing to trust yourself.
So you're an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
And a creative.
Absolutely.
How do those two work together?
Yes. That's a good one, right? So you have to have balance. Every day I give myself goals for the day, things for me to accomplish. But also I have to be able to explore my mind. And that's the big thing about creativity, because creativity comes within self. And you have to really go within yourself and create the ideas that you want to see in the world. But at the same time, you have to have balance. So I'm learning through my own journey the importance of having a foundation of that balance, but also be willing to explore the beauty of the mind, because that's how you bring out the most beautiful artwork.
Okay, we will explore that thread, but I want to take you back again to Dominica.
Nature island of the Caribbean.
I know you were brought here as a toddler, so probably not a lot of recollections or memories growing up, but you maintain this very strong love for your culture.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your identity and the African part, most importantly.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm a proud African. I always say that because you can change your location, but you can never change your roots. I've always been deeply anchored in my African identity. You know, my parents always told me that, but it's also something that just I hold to who I am as a person. I believe God calls us for different things, and one of my things is to really showcase the beauty of the African diaspora. So my African identity, it's just a part of who I am, and it's so interesting because I can go around any group of African people, and they always think I'm from their country.
There's a certain ambiguity.
Yes.
So
You're like, are you
Ethiopian?
Are you from Rwanda? Are you Nigerian? Are you from South Africa? I say, hey, we all from the motherland, and that's the thing. We're all from the motherland. And when I was in college, I started the African Caribbean Student Association at Marymount University. And I would have these forums bringing the entire African diaspora, Africans, Caribbeans, African Americans, to really show us that we all come from this beautiful continent. And I'm telling you, King Jackson, these conversations would get so heated. And it's so crazy to see the division that's within our community, but also the divine connection that webs us all
What are
together.
some of the things that connect us? I know people always like to talk about divisions, things that we don't agree upon. But let's talk about the things that actually connect us.
From our food,
yes,
our body language, our movements, how we speak. These are things, our clothes.
Yes.
And you know what's so interesting? I study people. Like, I literally study people. I study my culture, I study heritage, and you'll notice similar things, similar frequencies in different places, different countries.
Similar energies.
Similar energy, because we're all connected to the source.
Look at us. I mean,
exactly. That's how it is. That's how it is. And I think if people understood how important for us as Africans to come together and connect, we can do such amazing things.
Absolutely.
Because it's truly our heritage. It's beyond
and
words.
I think we're also some of the most creative people
absolutely.
in the world.
It's our blood.
Yes.
Hello.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've been creating, you've been working, you've been busy.
Yes.
You left your job, as a TV anchor. You started on a path to be a creative, and you just released your debut album, Inward Awakening, a very unique, inspiring album. You explore many themes, including self-empowerment, internal motivation. Let me ask you this. What inspired the creation of this collection, and how do we get in the way of our own awakening?
Wow. To be honest, King, I went within myself. And when I mean the bottom of bottom, the darkest of dark, the lightest of light, and realized that everything in my life all shaped me to become who I am today, and embracing it all. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about when you connect with yourself. You start to realize everything is a divine connection, and God made you that way for a reason. Even your struggles are a part of your elevation. So Inward Awakening was really inspired by my own inner revolution, going within myself, exploring myself, discovering myself, and learning that I could create music. I never even knew I could create music, but music is the art form that pulls me more than any other medium. So it's very interesting in our journey of life, King, that the things we're drawn to, there's a reason why we're drawn to that. Music just takes me away from everything. But I wanted to create not only just music, but music with a message. So when people listen to Inward Awakening, it's a multi-genre collection. It has Afrobeats, hip hop, poetry. They feel one thing, that is soul. That is authentic, and there's always empowering lyrics, because for me, it's more than just creating music. I want to create music with a message that can help open up the mind.
Absolutely, and get you thinking.
Yeah.
And moving too at the same time.
And moving too. And speaking with your question, how do we, basically go within ourselves? You have to take those action steps and journey through grace. I think a lot of times we're looking for some type of outside source to define us.
To validate us.
To validate us, and not understanding the beauty and the brilliance that we carry coming from God. And once you embark on that journey, it makes life so much easier. You have to give yourself grace.
How do we get in the way of our own awakening? How do we impede our own awakening?
You have to shift your mindset. Mindset is so important in this journey of life, because whatever you think is what you become. So first and foremost, you have to realize that you're already whole. A lot of times we block ourselves because we think we're incapable of doing something, not realizing that we're standing in our way. So I'm a big believer on personal development. And you have to define what that is for you. Because a lot of people are looking for somebody else. Oh, I want to be like this person. I want to be like this person. Jackson, you can't be me. I can't be you. So wasting your time on these things is completely futile. So you have to realize I'm whole and be willing to take those steps, those action steps towards your divine alignment, and only you can define that.
Do you ever feel like you have arrived in terms of your, is it a journey that is always continuing?
Always. My grandfather, he recently passed, he was 89 years old, and he was telling me how he's still learning. You never stop learning in this journey of life if you choose that. Okay, because everything is choice. So you have to decide, while we're here on this physical dimension, how am I going to learn? What will I want to embark on? Because every single day is an opportunity to renew yourself if you're willing to do that.
And I feel like the more you learn, the more you teach, the more you pass on that knowledge. Now, one of your tracks on this album is titled Africa Inside of Us.
Yes.
That's something we've just explored a little bit, but I want to get a little deeper. Talk to us about your own background and the identity and that connection to Africa that this album has revealed to you.
Yes. When you go within yourself, there's no way a human being, in my opinion, can go within themselves and not recognize and not honor Africa. even if you're white, because our identity is shifted to this place. Right? So I've always had that type of belief, but Africa inside of us, it's so crazy, King, but a lot of times in my life, when I don't want to get emotional, but when I am scared to do something, when I face self-doubt, when I face negative thoughts, because this is all part of the human experience, I tap into that inner African power. I'm like, oh, no. My ancestors, we are beasts, okay? Yes. Our ancestors are beasts. Char, you can do the thing. And it's like something just goes within me and I'm like, whoo! And it's like, oh my gosh, I've been able to tap into this thing. And it's like this divine power and this divine protection because you honor who you are.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's amazing. And I try to tell people this stuff, and I tell people, once you get connected with your African identity, and however that looks like to you, because I'm a believer, not trying to force anybody to be anybody but themselves, but once you get connected to these roots, you start to grow because it's part of your foundation.
Absolutely, absolutely. You find your, I guess, your inner gangster.
Yes,
that's
my inner gangster.
One of the other tracks on.
Inner gangster. Hey. Inner gangster. Everybody got inner gangster.
So what is your inner gangster?
Woo! Yeah. Inner gangster is all about courage. In this journey of life, every one of us will be tested in some way. So inner gangster is to remind us about that courage that's in all of us. Because sometimes in life, it's gonna hit you. And you have to decide, am I gonna allow these things to take a hold of me? Or I'm gonna walk in that God power and get up. So inner gangster is all about being a fighter. And I've been a fighter since day one.
Fighting.
Oh yeah,
non-stop.
Absolutely. We never stop fighting.
Obviously there's this negative connotation to gangster.
That's
you
what
were
people think. I was trying to do the positive thing about it because it's like that resilience to keep going and saying, you know what, I got this.
You got this. Yeah. Do you ever have moments of doubt or self-doubt where you think maybe I'm not doing the right thing, I've not done it the right way? How do you examine yourself and be honest with yourself when you're not sure of which path you're taking your own?
That's a deep question. I believe nobody's exempt from the human experience. We're all gonna go through things. So anybody who says they don't have self-doubt or insecurities, they're lying. But I have to also realize that when I'm facing this negative energy, then I'm not allowing this thought to define me. Because once we start entertaining self-doubt, we go into a dark hole. And what happens is negative energy is so beyond powerful that it attracts other things. It's like once you start a dark thought, you're gonna think about this, you're gonna think about this. And living in lack is terrible for you. So when I face these negative thoughts, I allow myself to process it and realize like, okay, I am not my thoughts, and try to switch to something positive. It's a process, but it does work because the thoughts are always gonna come, but you have to realize I am not my thoughts. And that's what prevents a lot of people from thriving to their fullest potential. They allow the thought to define them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are not your thoughts.
Yeah. So let's talk about art as a tool for self-empowerment.
Yes.
How does that work?
Absolutely. I am really big on expressive arts, using art as a medium for empowerment, whether it's through music, whether it's through storytelling, whether it's through whatever you decide to do. What you're doing, King Jackson, you are using your love for humans, humanity, culture, Africa, as a form of empowerment. So when we do this, we don't even realize the difference we make in the world as well as ourselves. Because when you are born to create, and you don't create, you're always gonna feel like something is missing. So when you can tie that into an empowerment component and make humanity a better place, why not?
Absolutely.
I'm really big on that.
I like that. When you're supposed to create and not create, there's a vacuum. You always feel there's something
you feel like,
Let's talk about African art in this time, when there's been, I guess, an awakening, for lack of a better term, of inward awakening, your new album, there's been a global awakening to the power of African art, of African music. How do we capitalize on this moment?
Well, I think our culture is nothing new. It's just when things get popular, that's when people start to recognize it. We have been shifting the landscape in the arts since time. I went to the African American Museum and they started, where did our music come from? Africa. Everything starts in Africa. So I think it's very instrumental for creatives, especially from the African diaspora, to realize that this is not new, but to own it. That's a difference. Because a lot of times the system has kind of used our talents and not benefited. We have not benefited. So it's important that we own our creative properties, starting our own businesses, controlling our content, being willing to speak on the issues that we think is fundamental, and using our art as a form of empowerment with an ownership capacity. Because if not, somebody else is going to write the script.
Absolutely.
They're going to take our ideas and write the script.
If you can tell your own story, somebody else will tell it for you. I want to ask you about the Caribbean and the connection to the continent. How much awareness is there in the Caribbeans, in the islands, about the continent of Africa?
So much, but perfect question. Some Caribbeans still don't recognize their African heritage. And some Caribbeans I'm talking about everything is Africa, everything is Africa. It's like here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll find the people who are so into it, and then you'll find the others who are like, oh, I'm from the islands, I'm from the Caribbean. But our food, our language, how we dress is all shaped by Africa. So there's still progress needs to be made, but we cannot deny the fact that Africa is such a huge part of our culture, and there's so many people that embrace it with dignity and love. Look at that.
So tell us where you're taking your art from here now.
Absolutely.
It's a journey. You have this debut album, Inward Awakening. I'm sure people can check it out online.
Yes.
And check out
streaming platforms.
Yes, on Chardelle Moore.
Yes.
Where do you see your art going? What are some of the strings you're pulling on to kind of activate more of the creative in you?
The creative. Owning it. My art is very unique. And I'll be honest, because I keep it 1,000. My art is so unique, so beautiful, but I'm still holding back. So in this time period in my life, I have to own it. And the only person who can do that for me is myself. And the way I express myself through dance, it's on a whole different dimension. You have seen clips online, but that's not even 1%. I can jump, I can do all these things. And I really just want to own that and show that. So part of my creative freedom is having a freedom within myself more. So I'm on that journey, and I want to produce documentaries, international documentaries. I want to do tours all over the world. I do a lot of motivational speaking. I do a lot of lectures. So using my love for art and empowerment on multiple forms, TV, film, podcast, having these conversations, and just really empowering people to become their highest authentic selves. So I'm in that journey.
I love it. I love the journey for you. Plug your socials.
Yes, so I'm on all social media platforms at Chardelle Moore. Also follow Motivational Moore on Instagram. ChardelleMoore.com.
Yes, Chardelle Moore. Thank you so much. I'm so glad this happened.
Such a vibe.
It has been a couple of years in the making, but it finally did. I'm glad it actually happened when your debut album is out, so we get to talk about
divine timing is everything, King.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right here.
There we go. Let's go.